Thanks for watching On Call for All Kids. Today we're talking about kids placing foreign objects in their body. We'll talk about what to do when a child sticks an object up their nose or in their ear or mouth, what to know about the dangers of button batteries and magnets, and when to call 911 after an object has been ingested. I'm joined by Dr. Joe Perno. He is an emergency medicine physician here at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital. Is so happy to see you, Dr. Perno.
Thank you for having me.
You betcha. So this is a really common thing. What do you see in the ER as it pertains to kids, unfortunately, sticking things in places they shouldn't be?
Yeah, it is very common and it could range from a funny story to a serious emergency. So, probably the first thing I would tell parents is they need to be cautious if there's difficulty breathing, speaking, or swallowing their own secretions. That's a sign the child needs to be seen in the emergency department right away. Sometimes even calling 911 anytime it involves difficulty breathing. Otherwise, it can be seen either in the ER, the pediatrician's office as soon as possible. It just depends on the orifice we're talking about and the object.
So, Dr. Perno, we know kids love sticking things up their nose. We do not know why, but what needs to be done in these situations?
Yeah, they do love that, and it does need to come out. Although most times it's not an absolute emergency, it needs to come out because any object up the nose can cause pressure on the septum, the divider between the two nostrils, and cause damage. Or worse, they could snort it back and swallow it into their lungs, which would become an emergency. So if there's something up there, they need to be seen. It's really challenging for parents to remove objects up the nose at home. Although we have a lot of creative different ways to get things out of the nostrils, it's really challenging to do at home. So if there's something up there, you probably should come see us. One other thing the parents should take note of is sometimes kids put things up their nose and we just don't know about it. And what we know is that objects that stay up a nose for quite some time, you'll often start to get one-sided nasal drainage. So when you get a cold or your allergies, your nose runs from both nostrils. But if you're getting drainage out of one side, typically it's very foul smelling and often thick and green, it could suggest that there's something shoved up there and that they should be seen by us so we could take a look.
What should a parent do if we do know, yeah, our child has definitely swallowed an object?
So if they've swallowed an object, a couple of things you can do. If they are having zero symptoms at all, running around happy and playful, you could do a test and see how they're doing. So you can give them something to drink. If they can drink liquids with no trouble, you can give them something to eat. If they can eat solid foods with no trouble, then we're probably fine. If they're eating and drinking without any difficulty, there's nothing to do. If the child's having trouble with either drinking or eating, then they need to be seen in the emergency department because that could suggest that something is lodged in their esophagus. We're very fortunate when children swallow metallic objects. Those show up really nice on the x-ray, and we could determine not only what they swallowed, but where it is. And that'll determine how much more we need to do.
Let's specifically talk about button batteries. We know that these are found in a lot of the toys that they play with. If they get out, unfortunately, they could be ingested. So, what as parents do we need to know about those?
Yeah, the button batteries are probably the scariest thing for us, and it should be for parents. These are those flat batteries that are available in some toys, watches commonly will have them. Even some of the musical greeting cards will have them in the back, and those are really accessible to children. And for some reason, the kids love to swallow them. So when these button batteries get lodged in the esophagus, they can cause damage to the esophagus in a matter of hours. So if there's any question that the child swallowed a button battery, regardless of symptoms, they need to be seen in the emergency department. Fortunately, they show up very nicely on x-ray and we could determine where it is. And if it truly is a button battery, sometimes a coin could look like a button battery or vice versa. But we could tell on x-ray the difference between the two. And then if it is stuck in the esophagus, it needs to be removed immediately.
And how about magnets?
Magnets are another one that can cause problems. So they're a fun toy. Kids like to have them, but some of them are very small and can be swallowed. So not only are they swallowing and a choking risk, just like anything else, magnets pose their own problems in that if you swallow two magnets and they're not together, well, magnets like to find each other. And if they were to find each other across the walls of your intestine, they can actually eat through your intestine, which then can cause a serious infection, even leading to death. So magnets are another one of those that make us quite nervous. Fortunately, they do show up on x-ray, so we can see where they are and we can try to get them out of the body.
And lastly, what do we do if a child sticks an object in their ear?
Yeah, so the ear is more of the funny stories. So it needs to come out. There's really no emergency for that. It's hard for parents to remove objects out of the ear, but that could be removed either in the emergency department, the pediatrician's office, or even an ear, nose, and throat specialist. But it should come out relatively promptly, but there's no emergency there.
All right, Dr. Perno, we love our children, but man, they can give us heart attacks. Scary stuff. Thanks for sharing with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you all for joining us today as well. Don't forget, you can also check out our website. It's hopkinsallchildrens.org/newsroom. There you will find a lot of other timely topics in pediatric healthcare and other resources linking to different departments in our hospital as well. We'll see you next week.